a story that recently came out that apparently they found evidence that he was murdered. All this time, everybody was saying it was suicidal, suicidal, suicidal. The coroner came out and said, no, there was evidence that he had 3 broken bones in his neck. Which means, and that doesn't happen from suicides. The coroner said that's kind of physically impossible. He'd have to jump off of a bridge, and even then it would be hard to do. And basically, what the story basically says, and I 100% say this is like really creepy that he's dead, but Epstein's autopsy points to homicide. And this is the New York Times reporting. Pathologist hired by the brother claims that the New York City medical examiner strongly disputed the claim that evidence from the autopsy suggested strangulation. That's the person who was hired by the city to basically give a diagnosis. Well, apparently, the forensic pathologist hired by his brother said on Wednesday that there's evidence that suggested that Mr. Epstein did not die by suicide, but might have been strangled. And that's kind of crazy because, yes, I get it where, like, a lot of people would say, oh, he's hired by the brother might be telling him to say things, but that's something that when somebody brings up a contention with somebody, they have to investigate it, right? They have to find out if this is true. He was in prison, and that means if somebody strangled him, somebody killed him. That's a homicide, right? Justice needs to be served for that, even though he wasn't exactly a good person. And the private Dr. Michael Bain said on the Morning Fox that Mr. Epstein, 66, experienced a number of injuries. Among them, a broken bone in his neck, and that's extremely unusual in suicide hangings and could occur more often commonly in a homicidal strangulation. I think that there's evidence that points to homicide rather than suicide. Okay. They go on to basically say, I stand firmly behind my decisions and determination of the case and the manner of the case. Dr. Sampson, who was the New York City doctor who diagnosed him and did the autopsy, said that in general fractures of the hyoid bone and cartilage can be seen in suicides and homicides. So there is 2 doctors going one-on-one. And essentially a lot of people are kind of going in this. There is a conspiracy here. A lot of people that I've spoken to when this first came out said he's a billionaire. 1, he's still alive. This was totally a cover-up so that they could take him out of jail and put him on an island somewhere. He could live out the rest of his days. This man was extremely, extremely, extremely wealthy. Okay? And if that's the case, then guess what? Hey, he's out of the world. It's messed up, but none of us will ever know that. That would take some serious investigative reporting. Wait a second. Status quo. We investigate. I don't know. It could be a story for later on. 2, he had a lot of people that he dealt with who were super powerful, super rich, and did not want him in jail because for fear of talking, for fear of writing a book someday, for fear of doing something. Did they have him killed? We don't know. That's once again, it's like if you pay somebody to be killed, I'm sure you're going to pay for a lot of money with which you know is a good thing. So, the next thing I'm going to say is that could it have just been a correctional officer who said, I'm pissed off, and you're a jerk, and you're a piece of garbage. Let's take care of this. Maybe he got some money. But if there is a sliver of possibility that this is correct, that there was a homicide, not a suicide, guess what? All the conspiracy theorists out there might have a point. Might have a point to say this needs further investigation. This needs something that has to happen. And here's the thing. I bring this up because when this happened, I remember having a conversation with a good friend of mine. Shout out to Brian downstairs. He's actually my downstairs neighbor. He's actually the one who, with him and his girlfriend, had the little dog from yesterday. We had this conversation that this guy was probably murdered or is still alive. Billionaires just don't stay in jail. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. It's so many cases where that happens. So, guess what? That is a story that I think is kind of interesting. That is a story that more is going to develop. And I think it's interesting because what is funny, didn't see a lick of that on CNN. Didn't see a lick of that on MSNBC. Didn't see a lick of that on anywhere except the New York Times. They didn't even bring it up. Why didn't you bring up that story? That, to me, is a lot bigger than talking about Trump 24/7. I mean, seriously. I thought that was something that should have been talked about and should have been done that. So,
hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.